Oh, I do not know how that happened, folks. We had a new intro for Reno News Now, and it just, for some reason, I didn't QC that before we went live and had the old intro in there. Sorry about that, folks. This is Reno News Now, also known as the ADHD Auditor. Hello to all my neurodivergent and neurotypical fans out there. And
hello, everybody.
Joining us today is Sacramento Community Watch and Xander the Educator. So just want to do a little bit of housekeeping here, folks. We want to shout out to Direct D for watching us on our last live stream. Apparently he jumped in and we didn't catch that, and we want to give him a big old shout out for thank him for joining us and helping us get the word out.
Good looking, Direct D. Homie.
So what we're going to be doing tonight, folks, is going over Xander the Educator's retaliatory arrest by none other than our favorite follower, Tony the Tyrant, also known as Officer Anthony Sotelo. Apparently, from what we gather, he's been watching our live streams and somehow glommed onto some information and wound up... him and his buddies wound up catching Xander the Educator. And that video has been featured on Sacramento Community Watch and Xander the Educator's sites. So if you haven't watched it, please go out there and watch it, folks. And help us get our view hours up for all these channels, as well as we're going to be covering that tonight. We even got the declaration of probable cause and arrest. So we're going to be going over that tonight. Does anybody else have any housekeeping before we begin?
No, I want to roll that video.
Okay, so let's go ahead and put the video on the stage here, folks.
Reno, Nevada, 7:29 p.m. Two watchmen with the Sacramento Community Watch are out on foot patrol and stumble across a Reno police vehicle sitting idle. Xander the Educator is first to make contact with the officer on the inside, Tyler Baehr, and this happens.
Just once. He's just trying to play nice cop.
Folks, be sure to check us out in the comment section.
Right?
How did the Washoe County CARES campus thing go?
Excellent.
Yeah. What was the end result of it?
Well, all the cops pulled back and left, and
everyone out there in the world, if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.
went on about our business.
Well, that's good to hear. I have a question for you.
Yes.
I was told that your registration address has not been updated.
Folks, you're not going to believe who shows up on scene with this information. You got to watch this all the way through, for real.
Criminal question in regards to your registration status as a ex-felon. So I was told today that it hasn't been updated from 335 North or Record Street. So I'm just asking you if you have updated your ex-felon address.
And again, I know that there's a Constitution and there's a Fifth Amendment,
so I know that
I don't have to answer that question.
So I'm going to explain something to you. Okay. I have the right to ask for your identification so I can run you if I believe a crime has been committed, will be committed, or is going to be committed. I believe that a crime has been committed by you not registering and updating your address. So now I am going to ask for your ID card.
Okay, so mind you, folks, state of Nevada states that he can only give that information out once he's been legally detained. So at this point, Xander has not been legally detained, and Officer Baehr, that's his name, right, Sacramento?
Yeah, Tyler Baehr.
Tyler Baehr. Officer Baehr here is, again, just asking, wanting the ID cookie, folks. He's at this point, he's trying to fish.
I don't have ID.
In that case, I will write down your information so I can look you up, and we will verify whether or not your current address is what it should be. All right?
If you know who I am, either arrest me or be about your way. If you're asking for information to verify who I am.
Look, have I ever been rude to you
I
guys?
don't care. That's my rights.
At this point, he's trying to play the good cop, good cop, bad cop. At this point, folks, this is. Have I ever been bad to you? Why are you giving me such a hard time? Xander's doing everything perfect so far in this video.
Absolutely.
And he does everything perfect in this video, guys, as far as an auditor is concerned. So, you know, everything you're about ready to watch is just spot on. And yes, Renita, these tyrants are out of order and out of control. And it almost seems like they are stalking him. Once you find out who this other officer is, and once you see him, if you've already watched, you already know. But let's just keep going, folks.
I have a Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate myself, which means I don't have to say anything. If you're charging me with a crime, charge me with a crime. If you're not, have a good day.
Take a deep breath, okay? Because I would like to have a conversation with you.
I understand that. I don't talk
I
to.
don't
have a
I don't talk to
conversation with you.
I
officers.
believe you could testify to that as well.
Doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I don't want to have a conversation with you. He wants to have a conversation about it. I don't want to have a conversation with you.
You don't have to have
I
a
just wanna
conversation
tell you-
with him.
No.
As a matter of fact, you have the
law and the I tell him the law and the Constitution, and that's all I tell him.
yeah. I
Tell
mean,
him
at this
shit.
point, I mean, at the. Oh, I'm sorry, I got feedback going on here.
It doesn't matter. I won't have you violate my rights. I won't self-violate my rights. If you want to charge me, I'll hand my camera to Sacramento Community Watch, and we can go.
I'll take more So,
Otherwise, I'm not answering any questions. I
again,
have the Fifth Amendment right
you
to
do.
not incriminate myself.
So
If you know who I am, and you know for sure
let me know when you're done.
that I'm an ex-felon, you said your bit. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, how do I spell your last name? I'll give you ample time to identify it.
I already informed you that I am going to plead the Fifth, remain silent,
Have I
and
ever
not
done you guys wrong?
doesn't matter. It's the Bill of Rights. It's the basic first law of the land.
Okay.
I simply just said, I'm there just to record. It's none of my business.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Keep me out of it.
At this time, he's trying. What he's trying to do is engage you to again,
Decide with him?
This is roadside court, folks. He's going, have I ever been bad to you folks? Have I ever done any wrong things to you folks? Well,
I mean,
you're doing
if I
something
recall-
wrong now. How did you get this information?
If I
Did you
recall,
ever-
this is the same officer that wrote the arrest report for me during the Sotelo case or during the Sotelo arrest. You know, I'm like, you guys are very hard to trust.
So yeah, I mean,
Sneaky.
if you're wanting support from the First Amendment community, this is not how you go about it. And as a matter of fact, at this point, you know, Officer Baehr, you're a tyrant helper. I mean, that's just as bad as being a tyrant. You're not a tyrant yet. We're not going to give you that title yet. But if you're assisting tyrants, you're walking up close to that blue line.
Yeah.
If you're
It was just
conspiring
a
with
question.
other tyrants or bad cops, you're already on the other side of that blue line.
Right.
If they're standing around talking about me and whether or not I have anything against me, that's conspiracy against my rights.
So I'm gonna let folks know who are watching. Yes, Xander does have felonies. When did they last happen?
what?
Back in '97, if you told me right. So mind you, this is decades going on here, and,
Mhm.
and he's kept himself clean. He's kept himself out of trouble for the past 30 years, or
I
so.
used to be a really bad boy. Not anymore.
Not anymore. And I like to let people know, again, in the state of Nevada, there is a law that basically states that if you have more than one felony, 2 or more, within 2 days, you have to register with the local police department. So that means if you're out here for a 3-day weekend, if you're out here to visit family members for a week, if you're doing anything like that, if you don't have a felony outside of Nevada, you need to register with the police. And this is a tourist state. Most of our stuff comes from tourists, and this is such an obscure law.
The law was written when Reno was having a very hard time with mobsters bringing in muscle and thugs to back the casinos and help them with them. So they wrote the law so that the mobsters couldn't just bring people from Jersey or back east anywhere else and hire them as muscle for the casinos. So
Right.
you got a violent felony, anywhere else, you still have to register.
And again, I'm just going to point out
that
that
not constitutional.
Xander's felonies, from what he shared with me, are victimless crimes, but they were still felonies. So I'm just going to put it out there. It wasn't like he hurt anybody. It wasn't like he was dealing drugs or anything like that. But just to put it out there, it was the felonies that he did get were victimless. Nobody was hurt. Nothing happened. But yet it's this war on drugs sort of thing. So we're going to leave it at that. But, just like some of the auditors
Yeah,
out
you
there,
should have left it before that.
I'm sorry, but let's just put it out there. Direct D and accountability for all. Josh from Accountability are for all. They've had pasts before as well, and they've moved on from them. And this law does not allow you to move on from those. I would understand that. Okay, for the past 10 years, you need to register. But, there's got to be an end point somewhere, folks. This is just downright, because otherwise you get this. You can have him go, I don't think that any police officer can come up to Xander and go, I don't believe that you're currently registered properly. And that's enough to detain him and ask for him his ID. It's just downright unconstitutional, in my opinion. But we're going to continue.
If I've ever done you guys wrong or anything, or treated
It's
you
the
guys
basic
unfairly.
first law of the land.
What's that?
It's the basic first law of the land, the Bill of Rights. First
I can't hear
10.
you 'cause
And shout out to any law enforcement watching this now.
It's
Oops.
the
Sorry.
Got it.
Constitution, the first set of laws written in this country. I am not going to answer any of your questions.
Okay.
I have a Fifth Amendment right to not answer
So,
your questions.
my partner's
I
on
have
his
a
way.
Fourth Amendment right to remain secure in my property, papers in effect.
So my partner that gave me all this information, he's on his way.
Okay.
Okay.
And how did his partner get this information?
Folks, you are not going to believe who shows up on scene. Keep watching. That is a good question, though. How did he receive this? How did he get any of this information?
Oh, I'm sure he just ran my name.
How did he get your name?
I was on a witness list when we went to trial.
Oh,
The
so
witness
that's what
list
type
in
of
trial.
police officer that he is. He goes and finds people's names and runs them and shit at his leisure.
Well, again, he either got it from being on the witness list, or he got it from watching our live streams. Because I think at some point we did throw up his name up on our live stream. But
So anyways, what we talked about was registration status and ex-felons, because we had a case earlier that we were talking about, and your name came up. Okay.
And my name is?
Why did his name come up?
yeah,
Why would his name come up in the conversation they're having? Of all people, Xander's name came up.
Right. Mind you, Xander hasn't been in any kind of major trouble with
No,
the law for over
No.
30 yeyears. And then all of a sudden his name gets in the mouth
Maybe he's
of these
got a
police
crush
officers.
on me.
Yeah, Renita, this is all cop-splaining at this point. He's trying to explain,
That's funny.
you know, he hasn't quite detained Xander yet, but, you know, at this point, you know, he's doing an investigation, and he's trying his best to get that ID cookie that they're hooked on.
He has all that information.
Oh, okay.
I know who you are based off of my multiple interactions with you, and regardless of, that's why I'm asking for your information so I can verify it. Because if it's all good, you know, I'm just gonna go about my day.
No, if it's all good and you're going to go about your day and you know who he is, it's called officer discretion. You know, you could have told Xander, Officer Baehr, hey, look, your name came up, you know, you're a multiple felon from way back when, and according to the law, you need to register. If you haven't done so, you may want to here, you know.
Especially if he's expecting to build a good relationship with us. I don't understand. He came so left field with this, and I couldn't believe that it was Tyler Baehr making this arrest against one of our watchmen, of all people.
And
I just didn't get it. It was a punch to my gut. That's what it felt like, literally.
And multiple interactions. You know, multiple interactions that you've had with him, and you never knew this up until a few days ago. Whenever you had an officer probably abusing the system, trying to find out to make sure if they can get these auditors who are giving you such a hard time on the internet, Tony the Tyrant, you're abusing the system if you're going through and doing it just based upon a freaking whim. You have to have probable cause to use your systems.
Does that make sense?
Well, if you need to verify it, then you
Then I
don't
need to
have
ver-
enough probable cause to demand my ID.
I don't need probable cause.
Yeah, you do.
I need reasonable suspicion.
This is
He's correct there. He needs reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime has had or going to be committed in order to obtain your ID. So far,
This
all
is a
he's
stop
done
and
is-
ID state. This
Right,
is a stop
but-
and ID state. In a stop and ID state, you need probable cause. It's a higher level of suspicion in order to demand ID. He's thinking about regular RAS, which is in half the states, not in a stop and ID state. Stop and ID states, such as the United States and Nevada, they need probable cause, which again is a higher level of suspicion. They
Right.
need actually a single articulable fact and probable cause.
right. And so far, all he has is rumors between police.
Conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy at this point. Yeah. And so far, he doesn't have that reasonable, articulable suspicion even, because if he's going to tell you, if he's going to give you that RAS, he's going to have to give up the cookie as to why, you know, he knows this information.
this
Right.
is a stop and ID state. You need probable cause. It's a higher level of
Reasonable suspicion. Reasonable, articulable suspicion is what I need to have somebody identify themselves. Probable cause is what I need to arrest somebody. And then beyond a reasonable doubt is what the DA's office needs to convict somebody. And so you're right, there's different steps, different levels. But for somebody to identify themselves, I just need reasonable suspicion. Now again, I've never been an advocate or anything like that.
I'm not saying you are. I'm not trying to be an ass.
Okay.
I refuse to surrender any of my rights under any circumstances. One of the reasons I leave the house without identification,
It's so that you don't have to identify yourself.
so that there's no way you're going to violate my Fourth Amendment right and identify me.
Absolutely.
So you,
Absolutely.
let's, if
Round of
we're
I'm
gonna
applause.
not
do
committing a
theoretical-
crime, so there's no reason for me to identify. Period.
Okay, if we're gonna play theoretical,
And it's not theoretical.
If we're going to play theoretical, and it's usually the cops who say, we don't deal in theoreticals. But whenever they want to play theoretical, oh, it's all about the theoretical. It's just
What's funny
There's
is
not
I didn't bring up a
theoretical. I'm not
theoretical
playing.
situation.
you never did. This is
No,
it's like,
he
oh well,
wants to
you're
play
recording in.
They taught them several different tacks to go about getting identification and trying to initiate conversation with subjects. And he tries every different one he learned, but he has no transition. So I say something based in fact, and he says, "Oh, you want to play hypotheticals?" He's trying one of the different tacks that they taught him to try to get information, but there's no transition into this hypothetical gambit.
They don't ever train them to handle auditors. They don't train them to when people know the law. They don't train them when somebody absolutely says no to you every step of the way legally, and then usually the next step for them is, oh, you're resisting or obstructing, or you didn't give me your ID, so now you're under arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go straight to the torture cuffs.
Let's keep watching.
These are my rights.
The Constitution.
About what I'm going to say.
Cops explain all you want. I've got plenty of recording.
Do what?
Cops explain all you want. I have plenty of space to record.
What is that?
Cops explain.
Yeah.
You don't know what cops planning is? Oh my god!
And he still doesn't because he wasn't listening.
Well, he wasn't listening. He had his little thing going on in his ear, and he even mentions it at one point in the video here.
That's a
He
lie.
goes,
He just wasn't listening.
they don't train them to listen, and because usually you can tell a cop's not listening whenever the first word out of your mouth after you finish a sentence is okay or okay.
Well, I can vouch for Tyler Baehr. I can vouch for the officer because when I used to do my thing in uniform, that earpiece is very important, and the information coming into the earpiece from dispatch is very important. So it's almost like you want to have, half of your attention on the person you're speaking to and then half on the dispatcher in your ear, but really it's like 75-25.
Right, and the problem with that is there's just so much information that's coming across that earpiece.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, when we're out there auditing and listening to the traffic, it's hard to keep track of what they're saying. And
yeah, it's hard to keep track when we're out communicating on the radio with our undercover people. It's like all this is going on. You got an officer over here on this street, officer on that street, officer in the alleyway, officer arresting this person. It's like a lot.
It would be better if they could get these radios to where they have one-to-one communication with the dispatcher or little cells within it. But then it's never going to happen. It's just information overload all the time.
It's when a police officer repetitively explains the same thing over and over that it's his opinion or the belief of how the law is written or worked to somebody that he believes doesn't know as much as he does about what he's talking about. You're talking down to somebody like you're talking to someone who doesn't have as much experience in this as you should understand I do. So you can cop explain to me all you want. It's not going to change the fact that I'm not going to surrender any of my civil rights. If you firmly believe that you have me on a criminal offense, well, then let me know. I'll put my hands behind my back and we can go.
I don't mean to be rude. I didn't hear anything that you just said because I was listening to the radio. Can you?
Again, wasn't paying attention, was listening to the radio. Just.
And of course, I won't repeat myself when they do something like that.
So now that you're done, do you want me to say what I was going to say?
No, we don't want you to say what you were going to say. We want you to 10-8 out of there.
And I didn't interrupt you. You asked me a question.
Exactly.
Right. I asked, can I explain to you this whole theoretical thing?
I said yes. Cop explain all you want. And you asked another question, and then suggested I was rude for answering your question. Go right ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna play theoreticals.
There's no theoretical. Again,
Really hard to have a conversation when
It's really hard to have a conversation whenever you don't know the direction you're going, Officer Baehr. I mean, he's telling you everything on point. You haven't detained him. You haven't arrested him. You're going off of hypotheticals, theoreticals. You haven't given him any reason to believe that you have him suspected of a crime. Other than giving the name of the crime, failure to register. You haven't gave any reasonable articulable suspicion
when
as to
did I
why.
say I want to have a conversation?
No. We don't have to have a conversation with you, Officer Baehr. As a matter of fact, he has the right to remain silent because anything he says can and will be used against him in the court of law. As a matter of fact, he has a right to an attorney, and if he doesn't have access to an attorney, one will be appointed to him by the courts. So there you go.
After his first
when
question,
you
I
start
don't
playing
believe I answered
games or
another
something,
one.
I'm sorry?
After his first question, I don't believe I answered another one. I just redirected every time he had something to say.
Exactly.
or talking about stuff that's not going on, it's hard to have a conversation.
it's hard to have a conversation with someone that has
Facts
rebuttals
don't care about your feelings.
for every word that
Facts do not care about your feelings, folks. And guess who's about to show up on scene?
comes out. Does that make sense? Would that make sense to you that it's hard to have a conversation?
All right, guys, got secondary unit showing up on scene.
Lights on.
Hard to have a conversation.
Go, Ricky.
Welcome to the channel.
Tony! Go, Ricky!
Behind my back while I'm trying to investigate.
Oh, I'm good.
You're not going to be detained, okay?
Why would I be
Because
detained?
you're being detained. Yep. And I'll shine the light right back at you. So you want to shine the light?
Oh, you know that, you know what that's called, right?
So why are you shining your
That's
mic?
called prior restraint.
So why are you shining your mic?
He's such a good officer.
Well, and then this is just further proof that this is retaliatory.
Mm-hmm.
This whole arrest is retaliatory because of this.
Yeah. And court.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
Because I
did
need to see
did
you.
file a complaint on this.
He didn't like the way I looked at him.
Mad dogging him in court.
Because we don't trust you.
He can record all he wants. He's fine. He's protecting my rights.
You got nosy people. It's just, you know what I mean?
Nosy people?
Yeah.
On September 18th, this officer, Anthony Sotelo, arrested the chief of Sacramento Community Watch for recording him from a public sidewalk. Let's go back on that.
Okay.
Per the NRS 171.1233, the public has a right to record law enforcement activity as long as the person is not under arrest or in custody of a peace officer. Was I either of the two?
No, you weren't.
Horrible.
Well, and even on top of that, hold on a second. Even on top of that, the NRS further goes on to state that even if you are under detainment, you still have the right to maintain your
control.
property and control
Right.
your property, meaning that they're not supposed to turn off the camera. They are not. They're really not supposed to take it away from you. And we're gonna watch what happens here, folks, and we're gonna interject some more into this because. Yeah, things happen.
Yeah, I
journalist did more
actually took off my vest and set the camera down when Tony the Tyrant showed up. Because I saw him show up, I knew exactly what was about to happen. So I took off my vest. I set down the camera. I let Sacramento Community Watch catch the rest of it, and just prepared for, well, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean. So one of the comments in the original video that was posted to Sacramento Community Watch was going, man, I want to see more auditors, mouthing off to cops and blah, blah. And I go, Xander's doing everything right in this point. Everything he's done is correct at this point.
And my main focus was to record and keep them, in the recording. Period. That was my main focus.
Somebody's
Right.
got to stay out of handcuffs.
Yeah, and the thing is we don't want to add a resisting and not resisting and interference.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to add those to what's already going on here. So he's more than willing to take the torture cuffs and go on a merry little ride with these tyrants. But there's no need to further aggravate the situation, folks. And as a matter of fact, Xander's doing everything 100% good in my
I can
book.
speak
So
from
far.
experience. I can speak from experience. Being really nice when you know they're going to put you in handcuffs and they're going to put you in the back of that car is much better for your health, your well-being, and your basic overall bodily functions. Because you really want to be very careful and be very nice to them once they put you in torture cuffs, because all kinds of bad things happen when you cannot defend yourself. So
absolutely.
Right.
You can talk all you want until they cuff you up. But when they cuff you up, you better be a good boy, because these mother will beat you blind.
And we've seen that in auditing videos all across YouTube, where even where they're detained and being friendly and just basic mouthing off to them like, you don't know what in the F you're doing, you're going to get in trouble. But, continuing that line of conversation, there is tyrants who wind up wailing on
Heel body slam, huh? Boom. Clothesline, boom.
And
take you
we're
out
not
in the
saying
desert.
that these tyrants would do it.
Jail, take you out in the desert.
We're not saying that these tyrants would do it, but there's a history within law enforcement of them doing it, and nothing's ever getting taken care of properly. Because guess what? They usually investigate themselves and found no wrongdoing.
And 10 feet away.
Hi, how are you?
I couldn't believe he tried to speak to me. Why would you attempt to speak? You see, he just aggravates things. He's a bully, and he does not need to be a police officer. Huh?
He's an escalator. He escalates things.
Aggressor by far.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing? What do you think?
The first interaction, he called you nosy. The second interaction, he arrested you. And now this third interaction, he arrested Xander. I mean, and it's all because of a video where you called him bald, rude, and disgusting. And we called him tyrant in other videos. And according to court documents, his family's been calling and talking to him about this sort of thing, and they're disappointed in him or whatever. I don't 100% know.
He still does this.
And he still does this. He's purposely seeking you out. I mean, basically, Baehr admitted on camera earlier that him and his partner had a conversation about Xander.
Yep.
Okay, right there. I mean, if we can get off on this charge with constitutionality grounds on its face of the law, and at this point we got conspiracy.
Guilty of the crime is guilty of the crime. That's not a big deal. But we should look into the conspiracy angle. Not worried about getting off on the charge of failure to register.
Right.
I hadn't registered in most of a decade, so I wasn't concerned about it. I really don't. It's an unconstitutional law. I'm guilty. Oh well. I really don't give a fuck. But them talking amongst themselves about me, that could be an issue.
Yeah, and we do have the arrest report we'll go over at the end of the video.
Yep. Look who it is, guys. Pretty good, Anthony. How you doing? Oh, thank you, Sotelo. 15032, guys.
I'm gonna
Folks,
pause
if you
right-
want to call into the Reno Police Department and make complaints against this officer, I highly suggest it.
So we're just going to leave this up here for a moment for you guys to
Be
write this
nice,
information
be
down.
polite, presents us
we
better
asked-
if you
Absolutely.
watch your mouth.
Yeah, folks, we want you to realize that the
And
Constitution,
if you don't,
the
at
First
least I
Amendment,
said you said you should.
yeah, we want you guys to remember that the Constitution is especially the First Amendment is a double-edged sword. You got to know how to use it, otherwise you could wind up hurting yourself. So if you do call into the Reno Police Department or the Reno City Hall or whoever, please do so responsibly. We do not condone any threats, force, or violence towards anybody, even the Reno PD. We do not condone it. We do not ask you to do that sort of thing, but we do ask you to please express your First Amendment right to redress your grievances to your government. But again, do so responsibly.
Okay, well, guess what? You know who you are.
So this is Officer Anthony Sotelo, guys. This is the one that apparently ran this young
Pulls out
man's name.
cell phone number
Just
1.
contacted and gathered some information on him, guys.
Oh, and here he comes out
Wow,
with
this
cell phone
isn't
number
good.
2.
Oh boy! And of all people, Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Looks like he's having to search and look up and
See, I bet you he pulled out his personal phone to check YouTube for comments on where his name was present, and then wound up looking in the police phone for that information.
that's horrible. That's horrible.
But I didn't know if you guys caught him pulling out 2 phones or not.
Of course.
I caught that right away.
Of course.
See you here first. You guys can't make this stuff up. So this is Officer Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Yeah, that's me. Duh. Big great truck.
So
Look, he
now-
was already ready. I mean,
the
not much they
educator
had to do.
This is probably the most easiest arrest that they've ever had.
By far.
At least the
In
most
90
easiest
years.
constitutional arrest they've ever had.
Yes.
I use constitutional in quotes because we're the ones expressing the Constitution of these.
Stand by the light pole over there.
Look. He said, nope, go over there. Stand by that light pole over there.
Okay, so
No
again,
problem.
Back you up again. Gotta exercise his authority.
Tony the Tyrant again giving unlawful orders.
Right now you can take for somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Okay, you guys. This
No
is Anthony
problem.
Sotelo here.
No problem.
Stand over there by the light pole, okay?
Yeah, I'll stand by the light pole.
You can record us
Yeah.
if you want to.
I'll stand by the light pole. No problem. No problem.
No problem.
No problem.
Again, not tyrannical behavior. Officer Baehr had this whole scene under control. He knew who you were. Both of them knew who you were. They both know that you guys don't have any weapons on you.
Yep. Don't carry weapons. So.
Well, they're going to mention it in the video anyway. Xander had a pocket knife or something on his
2 of them. I mean,
a couple
One in the
pocket knives.
vest, one on my hip, and actually a third in my. I got another one in my wallet.
So, I mean, other than that, I mean, we're not going to reach for them when police are around if we do have them on us. It's just
Right.
downright stupid. And again, there was no reason for you to need to back up. I mean, again, he's just trying to throw his badge around. Just absolutely stupid. And he still
the
doesn't
people
know
see
what
that.
a lawful order
My
is.
authority.
the world sees that too. The world sees it.
What do you need?
Refer to the comment section. Yeah, at this point, he's
trying to get him to stop using
Oh, that's our equipment.
my name.
look at him. Look at him. No, it's not. It's going with them. It's going with him.
Yeah, it's going with them. It's going with them. He's going to take our equipment, which is already turned over to Sacramento Community Watch. And from what you told me later after we cut off this video, is they were standing around their car having a little pig pile discussion on what to do. And eventually they turned over the equipment back over to you, because at that point, I think Officer Baehr was trying to tell him, Tony the Tyrant, that if you take their equipment, they're going to come after you after NRS 171.1233. So that's why eventually Officer Baehr comes back to deliver the equipment, because if Tony the Tyrant got involved, I'm sure there would have been words.
Baehr
We're
told
taking our
me,
equipment too, guys. Officer Anthony
Baehr
Sotelo.
told me
Kevin Baehr.
that Sotelo wanted to take it. And since Sacramento Community Watch had walked away from it, even though Sotelo told him to back up, that since Sacramento Community Watch had walked away from my stuff, he didn't take possession of it when I set it down. But Tony the Tyrant came over and told Sacramento Community Watch to back up.
Right, unlawfully.
Right.
So
So Baehr got to be the good cop again, and decided to give my stuff to Sacramento Community Watch instead of putting it in property downtown.
Again, Tony the Tyrant was wanting to play tyrant. He told you to back away from the stuff, or back away from the equipment, so that way he could say that you abandoned it and they could take it in. No, that's not the case.
Exact play.
That was his whole play. That's why he told you to back up.
Officer Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Future gypsy cop.
That equipment look heavy for him. He's like, damn, what is all this?
Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Future mall cop.
Oh shit, that Paul Blart.
I'd much rather see him work in the shoe show,
catcher.
Officer Sotelo.
On the Bundy show.
These two officers are arresting Xander the Educator, apparently saying that he has something that he needed to register for, not as a sex offender, of course. I guess for felons. He said that he knew an officer that had his information, his name and everything, and waited for the officer to show up in this vehicle here. And lo and behold, guys, it is Officer Anthony Sotelo, driving vehicle 279. Now they've arrested him and attempting to place him.
And again, I'm just going to put this out here. They could have used officer discretion. They could have chose not to arrest him and go, hey, you might have overlooked this. You should probably get this taken care of. Next time I'm not going to be so generous. You know,
Right, they could have.
This is such a stupid law and a stupid crime. And the fact that Tony the Tyrant is trying to enforce it only goes to prove how tyrannical this law is to begin with.
Absolutely. And how tyrannical he is. Clearly.
It shows they're scared.
In the car here, he's not resisting at all whatsoever. They're going through his pockets.
Stole my pre-roll.
They stole your pre-roll.
Yeah, he had a pre-roll in his vest and it ended up missing.
I had it in the front pocket of my jacket. He took it out of the jacket, put it on the car right there, and I never saw it again.
Well, you need to let them know next time you see them out on the street that they owe you a PR.
Oh, I'm going to.
Officer Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Hopefully, Acorn don't hit Sotelo's car.
Looks like we'll be filing complaints against this officer.
Yeah, Officer Sotelo, watch out for falling acorns, you know?
Yeah.
He'll shoot up the whole pet store.
There he is, guys. Retaliation at its finest. Retaliation.
You know what's so funny? When the officer, Tyler Baehr, first said that his partner was coming, I had no idea it was going to be Sotelo. I should have known. I should have known.
I had a pretty good feeling.
And Officer Baehr, you need to find a new partner. If he really is your partner or if he's just one of your coworkers, it's fine. But if he is your partner, put in a request to get somebody else other than Tony the Tyrant. It's
right.
Just he's not going to have your back.
From what I thought that.
What was that?
Go ahead.
Even better, if you want us to believe that you're a good cop, I feel you're out there watching, Baehr. If you want us to believe you're a good cop, watch your partner and turn the piece of garbage in when he breaks the law.
Okay, and
right, you know what's so funny? It's so funny because I actually wanted to believe that Baehr, you know, was a good guy and, you know, for what we do. He said that before, but then this thing happens.
He was trying to bargain with you, like, hey, I've always been good to you guys. I've always been,
yeah, because Officer Sotelo didn't want to show up to the scene. He didn't want to have to call him either to the scene, right? Because then he would be on camera, and the people will know what this is all about.
So the fact that he's on camera again for a third time is Tony the Tyrant's own fault. Mm-hmm. Again, both officers could have let him go with a warning and say, hey, next time we see you, if you haven't got this updated, right, we are going to bring you in. But no, they didn't do that. No officer discretion. They chose Tyrant over everything. And again, folks, just because there's one bad apple in the cop bin, if nobody reports that bad apple or arrests that bad apple, how many bad apples do you have at the police station? The whole lot. The whole freaking lot.
And they want us to be able to trust law enforcement.
Jim, we agree with you.
Remember what he said? He said, nobody knows you, man.
All over.
That was a glitch.
Retaliation at its finest, guys.
Yeah, it was.
I know he ain't standing in the back of them car with them chaps on. What are those?
Again, he's trying to cop-splain to Xander.
I'm paying attention to Sotelo's shoes.
I was trying to get Baehr to give Sacramento Community Watch my stuff.
Yeah, so you know how our favorite, one of our favorite auditors, Chili de Castro, and Delete Laws, how they call them jackboot thug pigs. That is a good description for Tony the Tyrant. Jackboot thug pig.
One of your favorite.
Hey, so guess what? We're out here.
One of ours, I guess.
East 4th, I believe it's, East 4th Street. And sitting in the vehicle, right? So we walked up on a recording of me and Xander.
So Xander's car
was really bored.
He got off the car and he gave.
Sacramento's giving me a call now and filling me on what's going on here, folks. And again, they left all his stuff with Sacramento, and he goes, man, he's got a lot of stuff here. It's going to be a pain to get it back. I drove all the way from my house, which is about a half an hour away, to pick up Sacramento and take him back to his house. And I was going, man, hopefully everything will work out just perfectly. I get to the house, get ready to leave, and Xander calls us and goes, hey, I need to be picked up. Didn't happen. He got released the next morning. But that was a hopeful situation, and it didn't work out that way. But
Conversation with Xander basically saying that he knew an officer that had his information, and he was supposed to register as a felon, right? So all of a sudden, he said he's waiting for that officer to show up. Guess who shows up on scene? Anthony Sotelo. Yeah.
Oops. So at that point, they were talking about where we came from, the direction we came from. They were discussing the direction we came from when we first started recording, and then I forgot I made it go into the next scene. But
I have the camera directly right at him right now. Yeah, of all people, Sotelo shows up to the scene. Of all people.
Yeah, my jaw dropped.
So you guys, if you guys are just now watching us, we have Officer Anthony Sotelo and Officer Kevin Baehr here. Arrested one of our watchmen apparently for not registering as a felon. The officer claimed that he had information about the watchman that he had not registered yet, and that he had an officer, another Reno police officer here by the name of Anthony Sotelo, at the back of this vehicle here. He shows up on scene. Now, mind you guys, we've had run-ins with this officer before, and we recently had a court hearing inside of court too. We recently had that court appealed. This is obviously some sort of intimidation and some sort of retaliation on behalf of Officer Anthony Sotelo, guys.
Yeah, the municipal judge. And since then, we filed an appeal. We had to. We came up with the money. 1,000. What was it? 1,100.
It was $1,000 for the bond and a couple hundred for the filing fee.
Right. And we took care of that, and now the appeal is in motion in the Washoe County court system right now as we speak. So, like we said, this is obviously some sort of retaliatory arrest. Xander, the educator, was there in court with me on April the 1st. So, of course.
Oh.
Plus, we had a couple of other incidents.
Speaking of court, I just want to let our viewers know that I did get in touch with the court clerk, and they somehow lost my request, or whether or not I paid for it, or something happened where there was a glitch with their system to where they overlooked my request. I've sent them my receipt and the request information, and they emailed me back today saying, okay, we have everything we need. I sent it to the department. It should be a day or two. So hopefully by next week, we'll have the court audio to go over from Sacramento's court, all his court stuff that we can go over and bring out what happened. Because like I said, I still don't know what happened in the courtroom. I turned witness rather than reporter. So, I'm very interested in hearing what's going on. I'm actually, when I do get the audio, I'm going to be watching it live with you guys. I'm not even going to preview it. I want to hear exactly.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Oh my gosh.
Stay watching.
Yeah, stay watching. Like, share, and subscribe, folks.
Hey, I got a question.
What's up?
His stuff here. He wants you to take possession of it.
Yeah.
That was his property.
Yeah.
I would like to release it to you on his behalf. I just have to go through it, make sure there's nothing illegal with it.
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
Yep.
All right. Just hang out here. Once I'm done with it, I'll bring it over to you.
Yep.
As long as he's good with it. Cool?
We're being more on the roll dirty.
So that was Officer Kevin Baehr, guys.
Especially recording the police.
There's a knife, flashlight. There's this bell thing. I don't know exactly what it is.
Okay.
But I'm going to place it over here on the ground so you can pick it up after we leave. Just because there's knives in it.
Yeah, I got you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, like I'm some sort of threat to you, Tyler.
Officer safety.
So
I
guys,
thought we had a
Kevin
good
Baehr
relationship,
placing the
Tyler.
equipment that or the watchman had on the ground.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Have a good one.
You as well.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Reno Police. Here goes Anthony Sotelo, guys. Anthony Sotelo.
Hi.
I think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor cause he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue cause they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend Thanksgiving Day with food and my family.
So, folks, that was the retaliatory arrest. And here we got a redacted police report. And again, we like to redact these so that way we can protect the privacy, not only for us online, but for other people as well. So, failure to register, again, where he was and whatnot. So we're just going to see attached supplement. And it was Officer Baehr who arrested him. And nowhere on here is Tony the Tyrant so far.
Nope.
So, declaration of supplement. On April 25th, 2024 at approximately 1931 hours, and it's 7:31 for civilians, I was inside the marked patrol car during my...
That's my birthday.
What was that?
You didn't redact my birthday.
Oh, I
not
thought I got
up
everything.
here, down there. Right
down
there.
there. Oh, I didn't go down.
In the declaration.
Oh, I didn't see I didn't read the declaration. I'm sorry. Let me.
Yeah, just doxed me.
I'm sorry. Tool. I didn't figure they would put that in the freaking supplement like that. I didn't have time to go through and properly redact, folks. I'm sorry. Redact. Okay, there we go. Let me just double check a few other things here.
Okay, I'm not worried about anybody coming looking for me.
Right.
Not anymore. Okay,
we got this whole house fight. Xander, I'm coming over your house in a couple hours. I'm coming over your house, Xander, in a couple hours.
Okay, so I was I was inside my marked patrol vehicle during my normal shift when I was approached by two male subjects at the dead end of 33 Titano Street. I was able to recognize one of the subjects as being an ex-felon from my prior knowledge.
Whoa.
What prior knowledge?
From Sotelo?
Well, and again, how did he come about this prior knowledge? We've had so many run-ins with Baehr over the course of Xander's First Amendment auditing with Sacramento Community Watch, and now all of a sudden he has this prior knowledge that he was an ex-felon? How did he come about this information? It's not just having the prior knowledge, it's knowing about it. Did he have previous interactions where he knew he was a felon? No. Anywho. I exited my patrol vehicle and contacted one of the subjects as I have prior knowledge that he is an ex-felon registered to... there I go again.
That's Record Street.
Record Street.
Yeah.
That's the
go down lower where it actually gives an actual address. Redact that.
Okay.
Now that everybody's seen it for a good minute.
Sorry about that. Okay, so registered to a previous address.
I have no worries on anybody coming to my house.
We do have video cameras set up, folks, at all of our locations. On
better believe it.
Please walk on in.
I have on my property as well 2 cameras, a video doorbell and a garage camera.
Guard dogs.
And
I've got a
Lyon County Sheriff came out to me one time too on a 911 call, and I got it all on ring. It's just, anywho. So, anyways, during my interactions with Xander here, I explained to him that I had reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed by him, and would like to verify that he was indeed in compliance with his registration status due to this being a consensual contact. As Alexander approached me initially while I was in my patrol vehicle, he had ample amount of time to leave or ask me if he was being detained. I asked Alexander if he was still registered on Record Street, which he stayed silent. Well, that is a good point, Xander. You could have left.
That's what I said.
I could have. Yeah, I could have.
But then would have to do
And
with
I
it
knew I
another
could.
day, though.
Well, no, and then he would have called his partner, and then his partner,
Right.
Tony the Tyrant, would have been searching the area for you because,
Yeah. They'd have followed me down the
he-
street, got me in an hour.
right? Because I mean, it's not like you could hop. I mean, you could hop into an Uber and get out of there, but
Yeah, and it's not like it wasn't retaliatory.
okay. Xander then
It wasn't
stated
like
that
I
he
wasn't
refused to.
expecting them to do it.
Again, but he mentions that this is all consensual at this point. I mean, the failure to ID law in Nevada, NRS 171.1233, is basically a law for detainment. And I know everybody says it's a stop and ID state, but the stop part, according to the law, is detainment. And it says that they have to have articulable suspicion that you have had or going to be committing a crime, or that you are in violation of probation or parole.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, he still has not articulated how he has reasonable articulable suspicion, just like he says that you could have left at any time because you weren't really being detained. But I bet you as soon as you walked off, he would have tried to detain you. But he still doesn't get the cookie under consensual. He has to detain you.
Or watched and followed me until Tony the Tyrant showed up and then walked and then come over and got me.
Right.
He knew I wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
I was on patrol. We were working.
Right. And then that would have been an awesome video.
So I explained to Xander that I would give him ample amount of time to identify himself, in which he did not until I placed him into handcuffs. Because the moment he placed you into handcuffs, you were detained. You were arrested. At that point, you did have to give up that information. He was able to check his registrations.
Doing by that point in time was verifying my legal name, because Tony the Tyrant was spouting it like he was vomiting it.
Alexander then identified himself, and I was able to.
I just verified what they already have.
Alexander then identified himself, and I was able to check his registrations in local history. It is noted that it was on Record Street, used to be an old men's homeless shelter, in which has not been open for several months for any housing purposes. Well, okay, well that does give reasonable suspicion. But
the old men's homeless shelter.
Yep.
It was called that?
No, it was
a homeless shelter for men.
Men's homeless shelter. It's the retired men's homeless shelter.
Yeah, he said old men's homeless shelter. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not the new men's
homeless
shelter. It's the old men's homeless shelter.
It was a homeless shelter that it was old.
The men aren't old. The shelter is.
Oh,
yeah. Let's see here. While filling out the probable cause sheet, I asked Xander his current address for documentation purposes. Xander stated he's been living at this address during our conversation. Xander stated that registering his address in Nevada is unconstitutional law and that he should not have to do so because of his minor felony. I explained that regardless of how we may feel about the law, we still have to follow it, which Xander nodded his head that he understood. It is noted that Xander has been arrested for failure to register on 113 out of Reno Police Department and 1222 out of Sparks Police Department, as well as 9/30/1999 out of Sparks Police Department. I arrested Xander for ex-felon failure to register, and his address is listed as Record Street from 2012, and the facility has been closed for several months, for long enough, and yeah, so that was that, folks. So.
Well, I'm just glad to see that it was all taken care of.
Well, yeah, and just so people are aware, Xander,
not an issue.
It's not going to be an issue
not
anymore
an issue
because
to me, obviously.
Xander wound
How
up.
many times did they arrested me for it?
Xander wound up re-registering with the proper authorities under this what we believe is an unconstitutional law. Again, folks, it's just officer discretion. You know, it's one of those things. Is regardless of whether or not we feel the law, it's still the law. We agree with that to some point, but at some point, the officer has to sit there and go, is this constitutional or not, and should I be following it? Because their first duty is to the Constitution, folks.
Absolutely.
They're supposed to respect and defend our rights, and if they believe a law is unconstitutional, they have the choice of using officer discretion and not following through with it. But no, we believe that this is retaliatory, pure and simple.
So you guys let us know in the comment section. We thank you guys for joining us on this live stream today. We love everybody for joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Xander, the Educator, and Reno News Now, as always.
Yep. Anybody else got anything to say before we cut off the live stream?
We're pretty much good to go.
Yep. Join us again on Tuesday, folks. We're doing these live streams every Tuesday at around 7. The next one, if we get the court audio, will be of the court audio for Sacramento Community Watch's unlawful arrest for resisting an officer.
Right. We want you guys to hear that.
We want you guys to hear that court. We are going to play it. And again, we are appealing it, and it's in the works. So please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned, folks, and have a wonderful night.
You guys take care. I love each other. Keep our community safe.
See you next time.